Section 21.4, pause. As we've already mentioned, the text in the Hebrew Bible is divided by disjunctive accents and conjunctive accents that provides punctuation. And a word that stands at the end of a clause and therefore has a disjunctive accent attached to it is said to be in pause. And when a word is in pause, that will sometimes affect the pronunciation, that is, will affect the vowels. Here are some of the examples of how the pronunciation can change. If you have a patah, it will often lengthen to kamats. So let's say you end a phrase and you have conceptually at least a punctuation or a disjunctive accent there. Pakad with a patah will go to pakad with a kamats, go from a short A to a long A. At with a patah will lengthen to a kamats. So at, meaning you feminine singular, will show up as, well, try to make the pronunciation. Again, in modern Israeli, they don't distinguish between patah and kamats much, but it would be at versus at. At versus at. Segol can become kamats, so if you have karev, grave, in pause, it may show up as karev. Shavaz may lengthen to a full vowel. So if you have a verb like pakada, she appointed, it may become pakada with a full-fledged vowel. And suska, her horse, can lengthen to suseka. So shavaz can lengthen to segols. And one place where this can happen is with preposition la and ba with the ka at the end. In pause, the accent will switch. And so instead of laka, you're going to end up with lak. And instead of baka, you're going to end up with bak. And that's going to make it become identical with the second feminine singular form, which is kind of confusing. But if it's at the end of a clause, if it has a major punctuation, like you can see the accent here is called the athnach, the little caret thing. That athnach indicates that that is a in pausal position. And therefore, if you just know that laka can become lak and pause, then it wouldn't necessarily be the second feminine singular form. Though if it were second feminine singular, that's the form that would appear. Moving now to section 21.5. Here we have a discussion of pronominal suffixes on mean and ka. When preposition mean adds pronominal suffixes, its form changes by reduplicating itself in at least many of the forms, as if you were attaching it not to mean, but to mean. And then the suffix that you attach to it is would be an e. So here, from me would be mimeni. And basically it's preposition mean plus preposition mean plus the suffix ni, which is short for the independent personal pronoun ani. So it's mean ani, but it ends up being pronounced mimeni, from me. Now the second person plural and the third person plural forms are more like you would expect. Mikem and mehem, where you just take mean, you assimilate the noon into the kaf, and so it ends up becoming mikem, kem, And then with hem, you can't assimilate the noon, so you compensatory lengthen, you get mayhem. But some of the other forms do the same thing. So here you have the paradigm of mean in this column. So from me is mimeni, from her is mimena, from you is mimaka. Again, you get the reduplication of the mean. And then you get mimake from you, feminine singular. Mimeni is from me. Well, I misspoke on the first one. Mimenu is from him. It would be short for mimain who, with the who is he. Mimain who, but then the hey back assimilates and becomes mimainu. When you get to the plural forms with men, you get mayhem, which is more what you would expect, and then mayhen. And then you also have a longer form, mehena. Hena, as you recall, is the independent personal pronoun for the third feminine plural, one of two possible forms of that. And then you get mikem and miken, more what you'd expect. But then the first common plural is mimenu, is men plus nu, and then the nu back assimilates. Now what that means, because the noon back assimilates to get mimenu, and up here the hey back assimilates to get mimenu, the third masculine singular with men and the first common plural suffix with men are identical forms. So it's only a matter of context whether mimenu means from him or from us. Now with preposition ka, when you add a pronominal suffix, some forms will have a longer version of ka and build off of kamo. And that just has to be something you learn. So it's going to be different than the other inseparables of ba and la, which does not do that. So when you have from, like him, you get kamohu. So it builds off of kamo, and of course the who is he. And so kamohu, like him. But then you have kamoha. Notice the accents receded too. Kamoha, like her, and kamok, like you masculine singular. Kamoka, like you masculine singular. Kamok, like you feminine singular, and then kamoni, like me. And then like them is more like preposition la and ba. Kahem and kahen, and then kahem and kahen. But then when you get like us, you get the kamonu. Again, the nu is the first common plural ending on the verb in the perfect, actually. And that's pretty easily recognizable. Vocabulary. Yada, to know, literally he knew or he knows, is a verb of perception. It would be often in the perfect translated as a present. It's also used in a special sense. When Adam knew his wife Eve, she begat Cain. Their knowing has to do with carnal knowledge or sexual knowledge. And then you have shakan, he dwelt or he settled down, he abided. Then you get nouns, you get Adon. It's related to Adonai, but Adon is more the common noun meaning Lord or Master. Adonai literally is my Lord's, though it's a plural of majesty and it means my Lord. As a substitute for Yahweh, you get it, that form is the most common usage of it. But it is built off of Adon, the word for Lord or Master. The word for tent is ohel, And you can say ohel in Hebrew and not be cursing. You can also talk about dam and ohel. Dam is blood and ohel is tent. And ohalim is the plural, tents, or it sometimes shows up as ohalim. And then you have Bosheth is shame or disgrace. The son of Saul was called Ishbosheth, literally son of shame. That's because his real name was Ishbaal, the son of Bel, man of Bel. Ishbosheth is man of shame. Ishbaal is man of Bel. And it was shameful for him to be named after a pagan god. And so Ishbaal is derided in the Hebrew Bible as Ishbosheth, it looks like. Goy means people or nation. And in the plural, it can refer to the nations, but it's functionally equivalent to the Gentiles. Gentiles and nations are more or less the same thing. And then Hoshek is darkness, or metaphorically obscurity. And then Sava is distress or strait. And then Safa is lip or edge. And then he reminds you that kamo is the preposition as or like. It's the longer form of ka that suffixes are attached to. And then he gives you the adjective kadosh, which means holy or sacred, set apart. And then as a noun, it can mean a holy person or a holy place, even a sanctuary. So that's kadosh. So the angels say to God, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Things of that sort. That's in Isaiah chapter 6. So in the exercises, you're going to get to practice these things, including the passive participles. If you can figure out how to do pausal forms at the end of sentences, that would be good, but it's not a big deal. Recognizing it is more important than being able to produce a form in the long run for you. And then you have sentences that you are to translate from English, from Hebrew into English, and you should parse all the forms. And if you happen to see a pausal form, you might point that out. In the next video, we're going to do some drilling to practice forms and some of the grammatical points that are found in this chapter. But we'll end this video here. And again, the next one is certainly optional. But if you'd like some drilling, go on to the next video.